This is a special episode. It's the first episode of The Regulars, which is a show that's part of the Work Talk podcast where I bring in past guests who are also working on a business or a project, like myself doing the podcast. And we're going to meet every week or 2 weeks to talk about what's going on. Like, imagine if fucking like Peter Thiel, who owns PayPal, and all his other friends, the ones who own LinkedIn and Yahoo, imagine in the beginning stages when they're in their garages, if every week or 2 weeks they got together and just talked about what's going on with their business. And if imagine if they did that, documented that fucking their journey from the time they're in the garage to when they've gotten something big, and to just see their progression and follow them through. That's my idea with it. I'm not saying we're going to end up being like Apple or freaking PayPal. So the regulars I have today is IDK Junior. He's a local music producer. He was my guest number 11. And then Tony Hannides, he was my guest number 2. And he's hosts Lazy Tech TV, which does tech reviews, and he posts videos on YouTube. And we gave updates about what's going on with us, what's our next steps, what's working for us. And we dig deep into things like networking and like in-person networking and how that's working for us. You know, like, hi, my name is Sally. Hi, here's my business card. Like old school networking. We talk about social media, creating content, overthinking content, what attention is, and how do we get attention, but at the same time, you know, being authentic in the process. Like, I'm all about trying not to bullshit. So that's what we talk about in this episode. Check it out. First episode, The Regulars. So let's just have each person share what they're mainly working on, where you're at, and where you're trying to get to. And then from there, any of us could just spit questions or talk. Like I said, it's just imagine it like us sitting around the table drinking Hennessy and just talking shop, talking shit. So let's start off with Junior first.
Oh, okay. Yo, what's up?
What's ups?
So, let's see. The past week, man, I've just been trying to get out there and network myself, try to meet new people in the industry, the music industry, and, start building relationships with these guys. And, that's pretty much.
Yeah, your main goal right now is for your music, not really selling it like 101, like, here's my music. Hey, you want to buy? Buy. You're kind of thinking more macro, like, let me get some people to hear my music and get to the point where they want to, distribute it. And it kind of becomes more like, how do you say, like more like a brand or more well-known through that.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Because I feel like, because for me, I mean, like, you have people who own websites and lease their beats. And for me, that's something that I want to stay away from, because there's really, there's like a weird thing about leasing beats, because it's like, you can stream this amount or you can sell this many copies, but really, who's going to be keeping track of that?
Yeah.
That would entail more work on my end. That would entail more work on whoever leases the beat from me. And I kind of want to stray away from that. Like, for me, I feel like with the music that I create, I want people to come to me, approach me and say, hey, we love your ideas. We love your creativity. We have a project for this motion picture or this upcoming artist. Can we fly you out, or can we get you in the studio and then get you working?
So when you say that you actually go out and network and meet these other people, is that physically? Is that digitally? And how would you go about finding them? Is it just through like Facebook groups, or is this something that you've built up through the years, that this DJ who knows this producer who knows this sound engineer?
Right.
What was that
for
you?
Yeah, so it's partially who I know, right? Like, I have DJ friends, I have other producer friends, and for the most part, up until recently, I've just been using social media as a means to get my product out there. But as of lately, I've been going to more events, more meetup groups in the Bay Area, and I've just went to an iStandard event this past Monday, which was really dope, because they have platinum Grammy-winning producers there that, we have an opportunity to present our art to.
Oh, wow.
They'll critique it, or they'll exchange contact information with you if they really feel that you're truly passionate about what you want to do.
It's almost like going out for finding influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's almost like a job fair. And going back to your thing, like, he has something that he can offer to the industry, to artists, and to other producers. And he's created a brand, IDK, and he wants to continue that and market it as such. So when people hear that particular noise, they'll say, "Oh, that was influenced by Junior or so and so," and whatnot. And that is something that what a lot of people don't do. Yeah. They sit behind their keyboard or your synthesizer and whatnot, and they do everything behind the keyboard, and that's great. You can be the keyboard warrior, but network marketing can only do so much. You have to actually go out. You have to spend the money, and you have to spend the time. And as you and I are both families, like we have kids and we have other responsibilities, that's the hard part of prioritizing. Yeah. And the last podcast you said, Junior, you were very grateful that your wife was like, very supportive,
sugar mama.
And that's huge, man. Yeah. That's huge, But yeah, you got to find the time to go to do these things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually what I've been doing now. Is I'm kind of old school. I'm still all about that human connection and like trying to meet in person, like the old days when we go prospecting, we're trying to sell something. Easiest thing to do is go to a shopping mall and ask each individual person. And then social media came out where everyone now is like trying to create content, inbound marketing. But I still never lose touch to the in-personness. So for me, with my podcast, I noticed what works really well in regards to just building relationships who then people become my audience is talking on Twitter or Instagram and really having like deep conversations. Like my audience isn't just people listening to my content. It's people I actually give a fuck about. And I'm actually watching their videos. I'm actually genuinely interested in them. And it kind of gets to the point where it's like, they're like, hey, I have this event going on. You should come check it out. And I'm actually like, I'm going to go fucking check that out because I think it's dope. I think you're a dope person. If you want to be a guest on my show, great. If you want to listen to my podcast, great. But if you don't, that's fine too. But that networking, making friends, I think it's super important. Like I know I can't just stay behind the keyboard and try to find people online. I think going out and trying to meet people is huge. But one thing I'm going to do on my end for my podcast is, even though as I go out to meet people, since I've been vlogging, I'm going to vlog my experiences going to these events, meeting people, and I'm going to use that to bite-size it into different content to show people that's something that I'm doing too. So I'm looking to do that next week and the following weeks because in my job, I work 10 months a year. I have a 10-month contract. And though I could work 12 months and make more money, I decided, you know what, I'll make less and just work 10 months. So I'm really excited for this summer to just fucking go full time and like go to job fairs, go to like these meetups. I'm going to fucking like get out of the house as much as possible. But when I saw you, Junior, going to that networking event, I'm like, hell yeah, that's like that human connection and I can't lose touch of. And that's how I think I'm growing my audience.
And it's for me, it's super important too. Yeah, like having that face-to-face, that one-on-one experience with people that you're wanting to work with, it makes a lasting impression more so than just social media.
It's also for you, Junior. Like when you give somebody a track and hey, listen to this. I have a copy of it on SoundCloud. Your friend that you give it to, they'll just send you a message back. Yeah, dude, that was dope. But when you actually see it in their face, how they're like bobbing to the beat, and you see like their smirk go up, like, oh yeah, this shit's tight, man. Like that's like that kind of stuff. Like that's ephemeral. That's so like that's something that you can't do through ones and zeros with the data waves. You got to do it in person.
It's true.
But I see where Junior is getting at, and he's networking, making connections, putting out his music. Let's move to Tony real quick. If you could talk about what you're doing, and I know you do a lot of in-person stuff too, because you create content. You're going to all these conventions, but kind of tell us what you're working on, where you're at, where you're looking to get to.
So I actually just had a press event in San Francisco called PepCom, and it was just a collaboration of about 20 to 30 different tech companies, and they were basically showing off what's coming out into the consumer market, whether it be Shure, the microphone and audio company, all the way to Netgear, to Lenovo, and a bunch of other companies. NeoFect was out there. And the whole goal of doing that for the channel is because they can send me, they can send me this stuff. Like they can send me products. They send me products all the time, and I review it when I do it. But to actually talk to the person that designed it, to actually see how much love and passion that they have behind it, really gets me excited, even if the product's a piece of shit. Like I've talked to a couple of people.
Hey, do you think it's hard? Do you think it's harder than when you meet someone in person and then you find out their thing is is not that good, and when you do have to review it, you're like, "Fuck!" It's hard for me to give my honest opinion because I met this guy and he's so cool.
It's hard, but my job isn't to sugarcoat. I won't be like totally like negative about it. I will say something along I'll say along the lines of, his idea was great, and he has a huge, a game plan as of what's going to happen. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't spend the money for blah, blah, blah.
I like that sandwich technique. Tell them something good, then you give them the bad news, and then you soften it again at the end. Yeah. Solid. You're a nice person.
Well, I actually, there was a company where they were really proud of one of their products, and I pretty much poo-pooed it in one of my videos, and they sent me an email right away. They said, "You're doing it wrong." I'm like, "No, I'm not." So I took, I took 2 months working with them. Yeah. And they said, to me, if we fix this for you, you have to fix that video. I said, fine, I will do that. And after 2 months, they said, okay, there's something wrong with our product.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I told you.
That's what I'm doing on my part. See, I think for me, I'm trying to build an audience who sees my content as a resource, a source of maybe entertainment, maybe some inspiration, something they could learn from. And as I'm building this audience, I realized it's important for me to not just put out content and be the one talking, but to also pay attention to other people. And then I noticed I was like reaching out to people in the Bay Area who may not be in something that I'm that into. And as we were talking, I realized like, damn, I'm actually not that into like what they do or our conversation. It's just not jiving. So now I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to focus on what I actually genuinely am interested in. I'm interested in things like tech, fucking video games, like music, culture, arts, movies, social justice, education, of course. I work in fucking education. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to focus on just talking to people in recruiting. So when I notice when I'm talking to these people, I'm having like a genuine conversation that I actually enjoy, rather than forcing myself to just try to talk to everybody and try to like make a way to connect. It's like, I gotta know who I am, and I have to be genuine. I think being honest is super important because it conveys with my attitude also. Like there are some guests I have where when we talk, sometimes I'm being more conscious now of, there might be some people who I really jive with, like you, Tony, or Junior, and that I could tell that conversation flows really easily. And then there's some people who's in a field that I'm not that into, and I try to force myself to be into it, but it just doesn't feel right. But it's not that I can't have them like as a guest. I'll just be more of a listener, curious about what they do. But I think the main point I'm trying to get at is like what you did, being honest about yourself. I think that's so fucking hard to do. But I think as I'm learning to do that in what I'm doing, I could tell this is the right path.
So I want to ask both of you guys, because John, you were talking about going out and actually talking to people. Junior, obviously, you're going out to all these meetups and everything and putting yourself out there. To people that want to do this and they finally realize that they actually have to get up off their ass and go out and talk to people, but if they're too scared, what would you recommend to those people to get out of that, to get over that scared, that phobia of being shot down? I mean, we've had years of being shot down,
Yeah. Dude, Junior was just talking about, you remember, Junior, you were just telling me about how you're going to the event, and at first it's like, oh, it's a little like nerve-wracking to go, but then you still like went and all that.
Yeah, I still win, man. I mean, like for me, like if I go out to like these networking events and stuff, I'm the type to just kind of lay back in the background and just observe and like not really talk to people. And I feel like for me, that's like, I have to get out of my comfort zone and really, get over my fear, my nervousness of, actually talking to these folks. But I mean, if you're new to networking and you're not comfortable talking, just go and show face.
Yeah.
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 And just say what's up.
That's
You
it.
don't necessarily have to talk about anything. You can just go and be like, hey, what's up? My name is Junior. I go by IDK. I'm a producer.
Yeah. I think for me, like, it's easy for me to show up to some events because I'm genuinely into it. Like, Tony, I see you going to all these tech events. It's easy because you're into it. But I think to actually work the room, that's like a hard thing to do for some people. Yeah,
I feel like
takes some
Tony,
time.
I mean, Tony does it pretty
Tony
well.
fucking kills it though, man. He's like at these
Dude,
events,
like this guy.
fucking interviewing people walking in front of his camera, but he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, that fucking guy. That asshole.
But Tony, you're good at networking. You're like you're good at just engaging with people.
I think what it is for me is that like you said, I'm genuinely interested in what people can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And not necessarily what they're showing off, but also why they're there. Like,
Yeah.
What are they getting out of being at this event? So I'm going to E3 in 3 weeks, and I've already received a couple of messages from these game developers that are very, very tiny. And they have a very small booth set up, and they're going to show off their game in this huge hall with hundreds of other game developers. And they're from Croatia. And I just emailed them and I said, why is your game better than so-and-so? Why should I come by and interview you? And the guy basically put his heart on the table. He said, this has been something I've been working on for the last 5 years. I've gone bankrupt over it, but I love what I do. And I really feel like people are going to love what they see. And I was like, all right, that's all I need. That kind of passion. Yeah.
The genuineness, the authenticity.
You know? Yeah. Exactly. And if I get somebody else, and I won't name the company, I asked the guy, why is your game awesome? He's like, because we're the fucking shit. I'm like, okay, that doesn't really help me, And
I think we're on an interesting topic because we're both like agreeing that to grow our businesses, to grow our projects, that face-to-face is really important. And I think it's really important too. And also when I'm trying to find people, I'm not trying to make every person convinced to watch my podcast or to be interested or to be a guest. I'm trying to find people who are trying to find me, like they're into my stuff already, and let's genuinely have a good friendship or a good chat. But when it comes to finding events, what things do you guys use? Do you use like meetup.com? Are you guys like, do you guys find out about events on like Instagram or Twitter?
Oh, I'm a fan of Meetup.
Oh, meetup.com?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I went to a couple events. I found a couple events from meetup.com, and it's pretty cool. I like Meetup. I usually go directly to the source. So there's like, for producers, there's iStandard Producers, which is a really cool producer community. There's Unquantized that does a lot of things. There's also ASCAP and BMI who have, seminars and.
Yeah. Are those like local events, or is that like nationwide?
Nationwide for the most part. I mean, Meetup is pretty much the only local app or website that I go through for local events.
Yeah, Meetup I use too. I think that's a good one. And Twitter, I see a lot of people posting stuff on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, Twitter. Yeah.
And then, dude, I'm on Twitter. Like, I'm sending out so much tweets on Twitter. I'm like, I'm fucking talking on. That's what I do on BART all day. I'm just fucking tweeting so much people. But there's so much like events you could find. And some people post it through Meetup, but Twitter is where I find a lot of events. Tony, you go to a lot of like the major conferences though. I
go to a lot of those, and those are because I've been there for years. But the smaller conferences, just like you, I find out about them through people. Yeah. So, like Junior, you were saying you have your other DJ friends and whatnot. They might mention in a tweet or an Instagram post, hey, I'm going to be at this place as a meetup. Hit me up if you want to come by. And that's basically the same thing with us in the tech world. Yeah. And some of these meetups are more engineer or program like focused. So they're not really something for me as the press to kind of look at. But it at least gives me a stepping off point to go to be completely confused as to what they're talking about, but also find other people that are like me in the same kind of vein of like, I'm interested in this, but not so much, but I want to see like the end result and want to see what is going to be consumer facing.
Right.
And I find those other people, and then boom, we're Twitter friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think,
and it just proliferates.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when we're growing stuff and we use like social media, sometimes in the beginning I would pay attention to like followers, but now I'm like, I don't give a fuck about it. But whenever I do meet someone in person, it's just naturally like we end up following each other, and actually not just following like you're a fake bot or following for the sake of just like, I'll just follow, but it means nothing. But I feel like once we actually meet in person and we actually follow each other, we actually do like each other's stuff. We actually comment. We actually read each other's captions on the images. Like that's how you know like this is a real fucking human connection, rather than something that's more like, it's just more of an he's more of a social media acquaintance and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask both of you, when it comes to social media.
I was just about to ask that, Tony. You're reading my mind.
What do you guys use any other tools other than just showing off your video? I know, John, you edit your videos beautifully for like your podcast and whatnot.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
And Junior, your videos of like the drum pad and everything, those are mesmerizing, and it's really awesome. But do you use any other tools to get other people that don't follow you, or to get you on the algorithm to get pushed up to your friends list or anything like that? Because that's the thing, I don't. Yeah. I'm terrible at social media.
I don't. Actually, Tony, though, your Twitter, like especially on Lazy Tech TV, has a pretty good following, I think, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the last amount of actual tweets that we pushed out, there's like just like crickets. That's it.
Yeah. Aww.
Hello.
Hi. I see your hand.
Hello. Oh, she just sees me waving.
Thank you. I'm gonna watch upstairs.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Yeah, 3 blocks.
Right? Okay. Okay.
She's so cute.
3 walks.
Hey, by the way, listeners, Tony has a vlog if you ever want to see his personal life. He's got some funny shit going on.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, social media, I don't pay attention to the algorithm because I think I'm way too small to think about that for now. I noticed, I think a mistake I made at first on social media was I spent way too much time creating content on social media, like trying to make a really cool video, or this text has to be here, the color has to be right. Fuck, I gotta take the picture again. But now I'm like, I think at first you do have to have like a nice looking image, but I wanted to get that down to the point where I can make it fast now. And if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I have like almost a template for each one. But I wanted to I'm not focused on creating content now. Now I'm more focused on direct messaging people. And that's how I use so I think 60% of my time on social media is me going on people's pages. If I want them to pay attention to me, I need to fucking pay attention to them too. So I'm fucking watching people's videos. I'm trying to find out if I really like it, and if I do, I DM them. I comment on their pictures, and it's actually genuine conversations. Like I talked to this girl. She has a startup. It's a virtual reality startup where she wants classrooms to have virtual reality, and she was a historian. She worked at Washington D.C. She worked for the Smithsonian, like the Barack Obama portraits and president portraits, and she created a VR virtual reality like museum tour experience.
Oh shit!
And then now she's like expanding it to all the classrooms. So now classrooms, as they're talking about history, they could put on their VR tool and go to this museum. It's called Curated Kai. So shout outs to Kai. She might be a guest in June, but she's super busy with a bunch of stuff. She's pitching her idea.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and literally, like, we were just talking. We were talking about fucking Anderson .Paak, the musician dude, who I'm, like, super hooked on ever since that, what's it called? That one commercial came out. I forgot what it's called. But we were just talking late at night about music, talking about VR, talking about technology, talking about education. And I was like, dude, she's really fucking dope. And then she actually checked out some of my stuff. And I screenshotted some of the stuff I checked out with her. I actually did the virtual reality Smithsonian museum that she did. And I'm like, this is fucking dope. This is the future. And we were talking to like 1 a.m. And then she was like, I could be a guest on your show. And it just happened so smoothly, so naturally. So a lot of my social media stuff is just like one-on-one conversations like that, rather than trying to like create the right content and paying attention to like what time of the day am I going to post it that's going to attract the most like engagement. I barely pay attention to that because I think I'm way too small to think about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really only use Instagram, man. I don't use any tools, like no third-party apps or anything. Like, I feel like hashtags is probably like the biggest tool that I use.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I'm not for my content. I used to spend so much time researching the hashtags, and you have a limit of 30 hashtags per post. So I would research each hashtag and make sure.
Really, there's a limit? I didn't know this.
There's a limit. There's a limit. And then
I would put like 5, maybe. Yeah.
And the technique I always do is I put the hashtags in my first comment section. That way, the hashtags don't show up in the captions because it barrages it. Yeah. But then there's a limit of 30, and I paid super close attention to the hashtags. I went on each hashtag. I liked people's people on the hashtags, commenting on theirs. But I realized for my content, since it's not like a main need, and I'm not like I'm not like some girl twerking and it's like, dude, or hella funny ass content. I was like, the hashtag game for me didn't work too well. And a lot of times when I use hashtags, you get a lot of bots that are following and liking you. Like, it's not, it's just a program they used. Yeah. So now I don't pay too much attention to the hashtags. What I actually do now is I use Twitter, because I think Twitter is, for me, I focus on local. On Twitter, you could search keywords and you could type near you, and you could see everyone tweeting something related to that. And then I talk to those people on Twitter, and then I follow them on Instagram. Then we end up talking on Instagram. So I use Twitter to find people, and then it kind of
segue into like another platform.
Because on Instagram, I can't search people locally. I could search people who tagged like San Francisco or Bay Area, but that's only if the person checked in that field. But other than that, I can't do a radius search. So I use Twitter search for that. And once I find people who are talking, then I check them out on Instagram and we connect there too. Yeah.
Do you find it better to DM on Instagram versus just DMing on Twitter?
Or you just like I do Twitter first. I see where their attention is. Like if they're more on Instagram, I'll do more on Instagram. If they're more on Twitter, they're more on Twitter. And what I do also on Twitter is, say I see, like in Oakland, they have this thing called the Kapoor Center, which I'm like a big fan of. They promote like local entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. I'm like, this is the thing I'm into. What are these people up to? So when I saw someone tweet it, what I do was I looked at everyone commenting, and I looked at their profiles, and I realized, oh shit, these are all local people too. So I started commenting on the commenters and following the commenters. And everyone liking the post, I started seeing who was liking it, and then I started talking to each one of them. So that's how I started like drilling in deep on each one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is true networking at its finest. This is how you do it.
Yeah, like that's how I do it. That's my social media stuff. Yeah,
it's real because, like, you've seen, and I'll admit I do this for my vaping channel as well. But you'll see these posts say, "Hey, if you like my post and enter, and you're automatically entered for this giveaway or whatever." Or if you follow me, you're automatically entered for this giveaway, and you get all these fake followers that just want a giveaway. Yeah. So you don't get the you get connection. You don't get the connection. You don't get you get a bunch of bots, and you only get people that want free crap, right? Yeah. You don't get the people that are genuine. But what you're doing is you're actually digging deep into. You're doing something a little bit different, and maybe Junior, you could benefit from it too because it's local. And I guess I could too, to a certain degree. To localize it, that would make it kind of better to have that meetup capability. Where it's like, hey, I found this guy through this comment who also liked Elon Musk, and I went to this old page over here.
And we're all into the same. We're both into the same thing. And I think networking is just making friends. And I'm genuinely, that's where like I really respected you on being honest, because I'm actually genuinely interested in someone who I think would be a cool friend. And I'm not expecting them to pay attention to my stuff. I don't care if they follow me. I'm not throwing any right hooks like, hey man, subscribe to my thing. I'm actually like literally like having a dope conversation with this person. And I noticed that when we do hit it off, like, I don't know, they're the ones like giving me feedback. They're like the ones providing so much more value. So I'm focused more on quality and depth rather than width.
Yeah, I hate doing that. Like you find someone that you coalesce with, and then there's that awkwardness where you're like, do I mention that I have a podcast, or do I mention that I make music and take pictures of buildings and stuff? Like, I don't know. Should I mention this? Like, it's weird, but it's
my current strategy is I talk with them, but I don't really mention it. But then when they look at my profile, or if they follow me, they'll see that I do post content. So that's what that person I said, Kai, who owns that virtual reality thing. I didn't really like say, hey, I think I did. Oh, actually, she was talking about my podcast and how it's cool. That's when I said, hey, I'd love to have you as a guest. But she knew about the podcast for my profile. Or I think she ended up following me. And the next day I posted something. And she said, that reminded me, like, to email you back. And then that's how we've been talking. So I'll let my profile let them, if they check it, like, hey, this is what I do. But when I'm engaging with them, I'm not throwing that like right hook. It's more like I'm just trying to actually like get a good conversation or
get to know you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm also thinking, I'll always ask them, like, hey, if there's anything I could help you with, or if I see them on Twitter, like say, oh, I need a job, I'll tag them or send them a link to someone who tweeted looking for someone to fill this position. I'm like, hey, you're looking for a job? Hey, here's my contact who does have a job. So I'm actually really trying to like see what I could do to help other people. That's like my whole strategy right there. But I think it takes a lot of time though, because I try to spend 2 to 3 hours a day doing that.
Speaking of jobs, John, I have one to offer for maybe some of your students. So we'll talk.
Oh, sweet.
We'll talk. But remind me.
But that's the social media I use. Mainly Twitter, Instagram. And then I put my podcast on Facebook and YouTube. But in regards to reaching people, engaging people, Twitter and Instagram.
How many social media accounts do you have under Instagram?
Just one, Work Talk Podcast. Yeah.
So you don't have a John Salangsang one?
That's my private one. That one's private, and I don't really use that one. Yeah.
So when you go out and do this networking, is that the one? That's the one that you use. You don't network under your own personal. You do it under Work Talk.
I do it under Work Talk. But when they go on it and they see name, it says John Salangsang.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's the other problem that I have seen with people that are coming up. And maybe it's a little bit different for people that
you have two. You have Lazy Tech TV, then you have Tony Hannides, and then for your other things, you have separate platform channels for them. Yeah,
it's a hodgepodge of stupidity and craziness. But
Junior, you just have one, right?
One for my music. I think I have like 4.
Oh yeah, because you have one for the photography too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it separate.
And that was the thing, like, I don't know, with Junior, since you have multiple, keeping up with all of them, that's the hard part for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you said in your last podcast, more of your passions is obviously in your music, and that's great. But, just to keep your clients happy or keep them, for lack of a better phrase, wet, you might want to take some more pictures.
It's not 9:30 yet, Tony. It's not time for R-rated. Actually, fuck it. It could be R-rated.
Fuck. You've been swearing this whole time.
I know.
Yeah, but it's you want to keep them interested, so you want to keep that active. But it's like, I'll do that tomorrow. It was like, oh, I forgot about it. I'll do it again tomorrow, and it just keeps that back burner just keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
and that's how it's been for me. That's why like my Twitter for Lazy Tech TV is like non-existent.
At one point, you're on it. I remember.
Yeah, because I only had one thing to manage. And
you know what I do a lot though is like especially on Instagram, I would save as drafts. So like I would take like a couple hours out of the day and just come up with different things to post and just save them as drafts.
Yeah.
That way, like throughout the week, when I don't have time or if I'm very limited in time, I can go back to those drafts and just post from there. Without having to think about, what am I going to caption or what picture am I going to post?
That is an awesome idea.
So you save it
You know, so
early.
it's a huge time saver because I know, like, for me, like, back then, Instagram, and I mean, it took a lot of my fucking time because I'm like, what are these people hashtagging? What
Okay.
picture am I gonna post? Like, you
Yeah,
know,
you're overthinking it. Yeah,
yeah, overthinking it.
yeah. That's the
And
thing
it's
with
like,
me
you
and
know what,
content. I'm trying to like not waste too much time putting content out because I want to focus more time engaging other people. Because there are
Right.
times when I spent a whole like fucking like 7 hours making this thing, and when I thought about it, I'm like no one's gonna be paying attention to me if I don't give them attention. So I'm more interested in talking to people and paying attention to their stuff rather than me spending forever trying to make this like perfect picture when in the end not that much people might like care about. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean, man. Like fucking overthinking like the perfect picture or video, and then like next thing you know, it's like, damn, it's like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Well, also, unfortunately, you have to remember the moment that you hit, submit or create or whatever, that's going in the feed, and then it gets pushed up, and then everyone else sees other things beyond you.
Exactly, it gets so noisy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm all about the direct messaging, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. For now, I'm enjoying it, and like I don't pay attention to followers, but if I did, I look at the work I do as, you know what. If I'm gonna get 10,000 followers, then I'm gonna have fucking 10,000 real conversations with people, and I'm willing to do that. That's how I kind of see it. I'm willing to do that because I'm genuinely interested in what a lot of people do. I'm willing to put in that work to actually get to know them all.
Now, I don't know if you want to leave this for the next regulars talk or whatnot, but I want to talk to you guys about original content and your feeling about like when it comes to fair use or people just basically blatantly taking it without telling you and just not even giving you credit. Like as the three of us are relatively small in nature to the huge world that's out there, are you okay with that? Because hey, I get out there one way or another, or is that something where you're like, well, I'm not a huge fan of the law, but this is where the law can be on my side?
I guess it depends.
Right.
I don't know.
It depends who steals it. If it's
it depends on who steals it. You know, I mean, if Drake takes my song,
like Dead Mouse remixes your song,
go for it, dog. Like, go for it. I'll have my lawyer contact yours, and we can work something with it. But if it's just, I don't know, man.
I think
that's difficult for me to answer.
Yeah, I think it's different though with juniors because that's your music, that's your product. I think mine is a little different. I think mine's is a little different. I kind of don't care too much. How about you, Tony?
Because I feel bad because there have been instances where in the past I went to SoundCloud and I bought the song, so I did pay for it, but then I put it in a vlog and I didn't directly tell the producer of the song that that's where I'm putting the song.
Yeah.
And there was one time where the guy, I got hit with a copyright infringement on YouTube because of the vlog. So I contacted the guy. That happened. Yeah. So I contacted the guy. Said, "Hey, by the way, A, I'm not making any money because I'm not monetizing. B, I did buy the song, and C, it was my bad for not contacting you for doing what I did." He's like, "You know what? You were honest about it. Thank you. I'll remove the copyright infringement," and it was done. So I think if when it comes to things like that, as long as you're honest, or if there is a real use case for fair use, then as a means of defense, then fine. But it's hard in this world, because there was one instance that a colleague of mine was showing off a phone. He was just like looking like, oh, look at this phone, and they used that image as a thumbnail for an advertisement in China. He got well, yeah, but also he got no monetization. He wasn't called or anything, and they said, well, it's fair use because he's holding our phone, and it was this whole like legal rigmarole that I don't even actually know how it ended up, but as we are creators, and although John, your stuff is more esoteric in the sense that I don't know who would steal your video.
Yeah.
They might, you get to the point of Gary Vaynerchuk that, people are like, well, this is the origins of John, and I'm just going to repost that, and they make money off of that. That's when it gets a little bit,
maybe I'll think
hazy.
about that later.
Yeah.
Let me close with one last question, and then we could vibe off that. I think what we're all doing right now is trying to create something of value for people, whether it's content, music, something that entertains them, something that's like a resource for them, something informational like what you're doing, Tony, as well as being entertaining. I like your stuff. And I think we're all looking to gain some attention. So what are your current strategies right now to gain some attention from people to just see what you're doing?
Junior, you go first. I don't know what to say.
Oh man.
And I'll say for me, my thing is, if I want attention, I need to give 60% of my attention to other people who I'm actually genuinely fucking interested in. And that's my strategy right now. That's where the individual chats are. It's all genuine people who I think are fucking dope. And I'm giving them my attention. Because if I'm going to expect them to give me some attention, how am I going to do that if I don't give them any? Like, when I see their when I see their link on their website, they want someone to pay attention to it. You know what? I think you're cool. I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to watch your video, whether it's poorly made or not. But I'm actually going to give it some curious attention and tell you what I think. And I think people appreciate that. So that's my strategy for gaining attention, is by giving attention first.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I should do that. Because that was my thing.
That's my thing. Yeah.
My issue for me when we were talking about social media in the beginning, when I said I suck at it, that's where I suck. Like I don't do well enough giving attention to other people, and just kind of subtly think that, well, my video's the shit. It's going to eventually pop up on somebody's feeds, and let's be honest, it probably won't, unless, like you said, it is kind of a tit for tat world. So I that's something I have to live up to.
I imagine it like in the real life networking. I can't just be the one always talking. Like, I need to sometimes ask them, like, so tell me about you. And that's how I see it. Like, I see social media as like real life networking. Yeah.
In real time.
Engagements and relationships.
Yeah, engagements, relationships.
Yeah.
I think I have to be super patient on it, because one of my friends was like, hey man, tell everyone to follow you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah, man, that's like weak. I don't want to go up to these people, tell them to follow me, post content. I'm going to pay attention to them. And then my one friend was like, why are you going to spend all that time watching his videos when he's not going to give a shit about yours? I'm going to say, because I like his shit. And whether he likes my shit or not, hey, whatever. If he doesn't want to be friends, that's fine. But I do think his stuff is authentically dope. And that's it. 60% giving attention, 40% seeing if people pay attention to my stuff. So I don't know.
It's also quality. It's also quality over quantity. I mean, if you actually look at, like, for example, when it comes to YouTube, and I'm sure SoundCloud analytics and the other, like, Bandcamp are similar. When you actually look at the analytics of people that follow you versus or subscribe to you, and then you actually see how many minutes that they've listened to your music or how many minutes that they've actually looked at your video, there's sometimes a huge discrepancy. And so I'm like, so why are you following me if you're not actually watching the video? And sometimes it is because you had only one awesome track, and then for whatever reason it fell off, or B, for my case, I had a bunch of giveaways of like something really cool, and that's why they would subscribe. But then after that, they don't give a shit. So to have people of quality to actually carve out in social media the people that matter, the person that you're watching their video, they might not give a shit about you, but you might find somebody in their comment section that does give a shit about you, and that does find it, and then through them they will say, hey, John Slangsang has this Work Talk podcast, or he does job fairs, and I know you're a deadbeat asshole, you need a job, but you also need encouragement. Listen to this podcast, and,
I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying. Yeah. So any listeners listening to this know that you probably, like, I comment on almost every picture I see because I'm genuinely like, this is kind of cool. rather than, I think everyone's so used to liking, but not too much people nowadays are actually like talking. Yeah, so now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be a fucking social butterfly on the internet. So I'm just fucking messaging everybody.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's my strategy. Because I don't think I have content that's really gonna captivate someone. It's just not that nature. It's not a fucking like puppy dog with fucking funny ass music playing that's gonna go viral. Like, so I know that's not the nature of my product. So that's why it's even more important for me to give a shit about other people first. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree too. For me. I'd rather have 100 people who truly fuck with what I do and engage with my content than having 10,000 people who just double tap on a picture or a video.
They only followed you because you had a picture showing your ass or something.
That whole genuine engagement means a lot more to me than a massive following.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was dope. You went to that networking event. Junior, what I think you could have did. I think if you go to these networking events, I think you could start a vlog.
And you should twerk.
And twerk, yes.
A blog on twerking.
Vlog and twerk.
Every event you go to.
I'll have you guys with me. We'll call it the twerk vlogs.
But I'm gonna vlog the events I go to that I'm actually digging from the people I'm talking to. I'm gonna vlog it and go there and vlog. So
that's a bomb-ass idea, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, the vlogging that I'm doing is I look at like WWF, like in wrestling, they have the matches, but then also when you're watching WWF, you're seeing like the announcers talking, you're seeing like a little skit of the wrestlers in the fucking locker room and then some girl like something that's all like context around the actual match to make you now when you're watching the match, it has some context because you know what happened in the back room. So for my podcast, those are like the wrestling matches, but the vlog is all that other context to better tell that story. So like when I vlog me going to someone's event and all of a sudden people see that, oh, that person he met on the vlog, she's going to be on the podcast talking about what she does. I think it's just like better storytelling. But man, vlogging takes a long time too, man.
Yeah. People like seeing behind the scenes,
Yeah.
Like I was watching H3 podcasts and they were talking about something very basic, which was setting up the podcast, like how they set it up, how they organize, the cameras, how they have a producer that gets all the guests and everything. And I love that podcast. I'm actually not a fan of their podcast, but just hearing how they do it was interesting to me. So vlogging events like meetups and whatnot.
That's another way. I think Junior could fucking do a dope vlog.
Hell yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like the best vlog, but just seeing the creative
behind
process.
The scenes.
Yeah, like you literally like trying to build something and just like you're making it and then you comment on like, dude, I couldn't fucking think of a good idea and I gotta go for a walk and you're just like walking and you're like fuck and you're just like looking at like that bike that fell on the grass and you're like, oh shit, like it's making me think about that time when I was a kid. You're like, oh fuck, and then you go in the room and you're making it and you're like, oh shit, this is dope. And then when I'm watching the vlog, I'm like, oh shit, I want to see what he made. Or you can even use what you made in the vlog. Like, I think Junior, like, if you had a vlog, that'd be dope, man.
That'd be dope, man.
Because it storytells like who you are. So when they hear your music, it's not just like the beat, but it's the person who made the beat too. It's like, oh, this is the guy who went through this. He's going through that struggle. He has a kid. He has a family. He's a cool guy. Like, I think that'd be sick.
Well, Junior, you were saying the last time when you have a creative block, you don't listen to music anymore. You just go off and fuck off, do other things.
Yeah.
We would like for the most part. I want to see that.
We would like to see what those other things are. You know,
I mean, see how long it takes to make the beats. I want to.
If it's just driving, like where, how does it organically come to fruition? Once you hit, export.
And
that's awesome.
What I start doing on my vlog now is when I capture that 7 minutes, I start to splice it into little chunks, and that'll be like my extra Instagram post.
Yeah.
I think Junior having a vlog would be fuck. That'd be dope.
We'll see, man. Like,
Junior's like, what
I don't know. Like when I look at you guys in front of the camera, it's like you guys make this shit look so easy, dude.
It's just practice, though. That's it.
I'll
And,
say
like,
I never.
You make your music
I still
production
get
look
nervous, man. I still stumble whenever the camera's on. Just it's something that I got to get used to.
But
And
it's funny when you said that, and when you said it in our podcast, I didn't know that from you. When I saw you on YouTube, I'm like, dude, he's hella chill, he's hella calm, like it's nothing. I didn't know you're
Oh,
nervous,
man.
like kind of like it felt off until you told me. So
But also, like, even if you're off, that's you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
one of my other podcasts that I do with the dear friend of mine who works in the same industry as I do. He doesn't like to do the podcast live because he stumbles his words a lot. So I have to go in and edit that part out.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
it's slowly but surely happening less, which is great. But for me,
Yeah, I'm like, it takes a lot of work to edit.
well, it's not just that. I don't mind the interruptions. I don't mind the coughs. I don't mind the oh god. I didn't. Let me start over. I don't mind saying that.
The daughter walking in the room. Yeah,
That's
I don't mind
totally
that.
yeah. That's great because
You know,
that's life.
yeah,
right?
actually,
yeah,
someone who was listening to my podcast, there was one of my podcasts. Cynthia walked in the room, and
I saw that.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
she told me she really liked that part because it almost gave it an authentic feel.
it humanizes
It
you.
humanizes it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I
it
think
shows.
Junior will be fine.
Well, it also shows people that with all due respect to all of us, we're not like super special. We are everyday people just trying to make things work
Yeah,
for us.
I'm not that good looking, not like Tony, who's fucking GQ.
I'm not good looking at all. and we make it work with a work-life balance. And sometimes life literally happens to be in this other part of the frame. And that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'll just end it with saying that would be dope if Junior had a vlog. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, it's up to you because that's a lot of fucking time. I'm just saying, like, if you vlog your experience going to that event on Monday, like, that would have been sick.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. All right. On that note, I'll end it because we did go over the 30 minutes, but that's because this is my first time doing this. But I think it was just like great talking to you guys. You guys gave me some good ideas. I'm juiced. I'm ready to get to work on it. I like your idea, Junior, about with Instagram, like saving it as drafts. I'm like, shit, I didn't think about
the drafts. Yeah, that's super smart.
Yeah.
What is going on?
All right. So that's it, guys. Appreciate your time. And I'll hit you up on the next time I do this. Maybe next week or maybe in 2 weeks.
That works.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, y'all.
Sounds good.